how to invest in your health after the age of 50. It's a wake-up call. So if you're 50 and over and you're wondering why your energy isn't what it used to be, while the scale seems to creep up despite your best efforts, or while your aches and pains and prescription pills appear to be multiplying every passing year, this message for you. I'm going to walk you through 4 keys to strength and energy and longevity after 50, principles that are really rooted in solid science. It's all about science-based natural medicine and my clinical experience as well. And time-tested wisdom, not pharmaceutical quick fixes. A pill for every ill is what seems to be the modern conventional doctor's way. Now, the first key principle is to really eat real whole food. Now, food the way God made it, naturally packaged the way God made it. Fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, legumes, lean proteins, healthy fats, raw nuts, and seeds. These are what I call carbs from heaven. They're nutrient dense. They're life-giving foods that build and repair your body. On the other hand, the packaged refined foods, the factory-made foods, the carbs from hell that I call, they disrupt your body's metabolism, they spike your blood sugar, and they accelerate your aging process. Now, the second key is movement. Now, muscle is not just cosmetic. It's your metabolic engine, and it's your longevity organ. Now, daily movement and regular exercise and strength training improves blood sugar control, reduces inflammation, helps you to sleep better, and protects you from getting frail and old. You don't have to get that way. Now, the third key is rest and restoration. That's sleep and prayer and deep breathing and stress control. And those aren't luxuries. They're necessities for helping you to live strong and healthy. Now, healing only happens when your nervous system shifts out of what we call the fight or flight mode into the rest and digest mode. Now, the fourth key is really important, very important. The people in the blue zones, those are the healthiest populations on the planet. This is one of their key factors. The fourth key is family, community, and reliance on God. A spirituality, you really got to have those things. Now, we'll get deeper into those things, but research shows that strong relationships and a spiritual grounding, it adds years to your life. And again, it's going to add life to your years. Now, you may not be able to control your birth certificate, but my friend, you can absolutely influence your biological age by the choices you make every single day. So I'm going to challenge you. Stop managing disease and start building health. Invest wisely in your health because your greatest wealth is your health. So let's begin by what may be the most underestimated pillar of health after age 50. Find time to rest, relax, and recover. Now, I want to focus on this one first because, eating is important, as I mentioned. That's really important. But if you eat when you're under stress, and if you don't manage stress and you don't find time to rest, relax, and recover, you're never going to be healthy. So most people believe that energy comes from, pushing out your body harder. And they believe that, if you feel tired, what they need to do is drink more coffee or energy drinks. Now, they also believe sometimes that taking supplements. Now, I'm not against supplements. I prescribe them, but I particularly like food is the best medicine. So that's important. But rest and recover and restoring is really important. It's not about scheduling another workout, but your body needs support. Your body doesn't create energy when you push it. It restores when you get rest. Now, during deep sleep, most people are not getting deep sleep, especially after 50, get interrupted sleep. Now, during deep sleep, your brain activates a remarkable cleansing system known as the glymphatic system. Now, you've probably heard of the lymphatic system, but in your brain, it's called the glymphatic system. See, the brain, it actually clears out waste and toxins that accumulate throughout the day. Waste proteins, they get chronically retained, and they're associated with mental decline and neurological diseases. The glymphatic system, at the same time, accelerates tissue repair. It helps to repair your immune system, and inflammation goes down, and the metabolic hormones in your bodies, they reset. Now, sleep is not passive. It's when your body goes into repair mode. Without enough sleep, your body's repair is disrupted, and the consequences build up slowly over time. Now, when sleep is not good, the body thinks it's under stress. And cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol is life-saving, and in emergencies, it's really essential. But when you have chronically elevated cortisol levels, it alters your metabolism dramatically. It promotes that belly fat, that visceral fat that stores up around the organs. Dangerous, the most dangerous kind of fat. And it disrupts insulin signaling. The signaling of insulin, it tries to get the sugar that you get from your food into the cells, but that's disrupted. And also it increases the cravings for refined carbohydrates. That's what cortisol does. Now, the very foods that drive metabolism that gets dysfunctional, and it elevates your blood pressure and it accelerates aging. This is why poor sleep is directly linked to weight gain, fatigue, brain fog, and chronic disease. Many people believe their problem is a lack of willpower. That is really not the truth at all. The truth is their body's physiology. The biology in the body is stuck in what's called a survival mode. Your nervous system operates in two different states. Now, you might have heard of the sympathetic system. It's commonly called the fight or flight system. And then there's what we call the parasympathetic mode. And that's when your body is at ease and peace and it rests and it helps to digest. That's the parasympathetic mode. Now, most people over 50, they spend most of their entire day in the sympathetic mode. That dominates their entire physiology. It's constant stimulation, constant urgency, constant stress. Yet healing only occurs when there's parasympathetic dominance, and that's during sleep. Now, it's important to understand the body cannot repair while it believes it's under stress and when it's threatened. But when you focus on reducing stress, getting out of the toxic environments, and practice things like deep breathing and prayer and reflection on your life, and you get good sleep, sound sleep, your physiology shifts in a positive way. Your blood sugar stabilizes. Blood pressures start to normalize. Digestive function improves. The inflammatory markers in the blood start to decline. Inflammation is one of the really biggest causes of disease. Most Americans are walking around with inflammation big time. Now, the body already possesses an extraordinary capacity for healing on its own. There's a built-in mechanism for the body to heal itself, but it must be given the right circumstances, the right conditions to be able to do that. Now, if you want more energy, the solution is not to drink more coffee and more caffeine drinks and beverages. You need to get rest and recover better from the day's work, the day's stress. Sleep deep. Now that you understand the power of the recovery and rest and relaxation, I want you to move into the second pillar. Now, what is that? That's real food, whole food. Now, I've studied nutrition for decades. I've been into natural healthcare for over 30 years as a professional, and I've watched over 25,000 patients. And I've observed that one principle stands above all, and that is that there is diet confusion out there, especially on the internet. You need to just understand you have to eat foods just the way nature provided. If you only did that and you got rid of all the refined processed food and just ate real whole food and focused on plenty of plant-based foods, and you still wanted, if you want to, eat animal protein, but eat smaller quantities, if you just focused on real food and got rid of all the refined stuff, chronic disease would dramatically decline. Chronic disease, especially in our fast-paced junk food culture, is rooted in what's called insulin resistance. That's a disturbance of the metabolism that underlies heart disease. It underlies diabetes, so type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatty liver disease, which 65% of adults have fatty liver disease. That's amazing. And it's really a critical part of why people are so sick. And even Alzheimer's disease. Refined sugars, processed grains, ultra-processed foods, that's the foods I call carbs from hell, they create rapid spikes. The blood sugar just goes up, the glucose levels go up, the insulin surges in response. And over time, your cells become resistant to, the messages insulin's trying to get that sugar into the blood. But the pancreas compensates. It's not getting the sugar into the blood. So the pancreas compensates, produces more insulin. And that's when fat storage really begins to increase dramatically. Inflammation rises. Your energy fluctuates up and down. These things happen silently for years until your doctor makes a diagnosis. It says, oh, you need these prescription medications. You don't need more prescription medications. You need to take control of your health and follow these principles that I'm talking about after the age of 50, especially, even before that. On the other hand, when you eat the carbs from heaven, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes and nuts and seeds that are raw, and foods that are low glycemic, they don't spike your blood sugars. These foods are loaded with fiber. They have what we call phytonutrients. Those are compounds that nature put inside the plants, antioxidants and vitamins and minerals and trace minerals. They digest slowly, these fiber foods. They help to keep the blood sugar stable. They help to nourish your gut microbiome. That's the good bacteria inside your gut. And they reduce inflammation. That's what you want. Food's your best medicine. And when individuals when they shift from the processed foods to real foods, remarkable changes happen without having to count calories. Your blood sugar stabilizes. Your energy improves. Food cravings diminish. The body begins, regulating itself. The weight comes down. Every cell membrane, every hormone, every neurotransmitter inside your body is built on the nutrients from the foods, the whole foods that you eat. You are literally constructing your biology with your meal, every meal. You're either digging your grave with your teeth or you're nourishing your body for health and longevity. That's what you're doing with your fork. The question becomes not how little can I eat, but what am I eating? Am I eating whole foods? Well, now that you've restored and fueled your body, the third pillar that determines not just how long you're going to live, but how well you're going to live is movement. There's a really important thing most people miss. Exercise is something you do for a short period of time. You may go to the gym, you may, run, or you may work out with weights at the gym, but that's just a short period of time. Movement is what you do throughout the entire day. You can't remain, a sedentary lifestyle for 8 hours, sitting at a desk, laying on the couch, not getting enough motion in your body, and expect a brief session in the gym for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes is going to reverse the consequences of all the bad food and the harm that comes when you don't get enough exercise. Your body needs movement. Your metabolism responds to total daily movement. I'm not talking about, just exercising once in a while. You could just take 15 seconds and do some squats. And if you can't do a squat on just standing there, then hold on to a table and do 15 seconds of squats. A lot of good research shows that get dramatic benefit from that. And when you exercise and you move your body, science has a term for the little movements that you do through the day. I'm talking about just walking to the refrigerator, walking up and down steps. They call it non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's when you're burning up calories and you're helping your body to restore the metabolism. You could go just for walks. Walking is one of the best exercise, especially after a meal. If you go for a walk after a meal for 20 minutes, what I do personally is I go and I do stair walking. I'll walk up maybe 8 or 10 or 12 different flights of stairs, and then I'll rest and I'll do some more. But you could just walk, take your dog for a walk. It's going to make a huge difference. You can go out and, work out in the garden. These small movements, just by walking, or just by working in the garden, or just by walking around your home during the days, doing laundry or walking up and down the steps, they collectively influence your body's metabolism significantly. Now, one of the most powerful habits is really very simple. Again, as I mentioned earlier, don't underestimate the power of the walk after dinner. There's a lot of research that really proves that it improves your glucose levels dramatically. It helps to improve digestion. It reduces the stress hormones like cortisol, which again puts on that weight, and it promotes better sleep just by doing that 20 minutes of walk. And that's well researched. It's a really high return on your investment. And that's what we're talking about, how to invest in your health. Now, beyond daily movement, muscles become increasingly important after the age of 50. See, muscles are not just merely something that you want to look in the mirror and you want to say, oh, I've got really big muscles. No, it's not what it's all about. Okay. After age 30, muscle mass is going to decline for everybody, typically. Now, you could really work out hard in the gym and you can maintain that muscle mass, no question about it. But for most people, it's going to decline. And, the loss of muscle leads to frail bodies, greater chance for falls and fractures, and loss of independence. You don't want that. Now, muscles, if they're kept, active, they improve insulin sensitivity, helps that sugar to get inside the cells. It stabilizes your joints. It supports good, strong bones and preserves, overall functional strength. You want good strength. You want to be stable. And in many ways, muscle is an organ for longevity. I want to repeat that. Muscle maintenance and muscles themselves is an organ for longevity, a long life. Maintaining is not just optional, it's medicine, it's protective medicine. Now, just as important is your mindset. Your mindset and how you think. You got to get rid of that stinking thinking. Many people, are stuck in a rut. They just follow their pattern of life that they had for a long time with that stinking thinking, and they don't change. They follow through with the same things they've been doing for years. But if you want a health transformation, health doesn't just occur in some kind of dramatic burst of, I'm going to just change my mind for a day. I'm going to have better thinking for today. It's consistent, positive thinking, positive mindset. It really is important to have repeated actions that are performed consistently. Now, what I tell my patients, you've got to keep your word to yourself. And what do I mean by that? Well, your word to yourself builds trust in what you say. And trust builds confidence. And confidence builds momentum. Momentum builds transformation in your life. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to be consistent. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me kind of break it down for you. So let's just say that you have a hard time going to the gym because you can't find yourself to be working out for 45 minutes. Maybe you don't have the strength right now. Maybe you don't have the discipline right now. But here's the key. If you just go to the gym 3 times a week and you get on the treadmill or you lift some weights for just 2 minutes and then you walk out and you do that 3 times a week, I promise you that daily 3 times a week, that habit 3 times a week is going to change your mindset, and you're going to start to consistently exercise, and you'll slowly increase the amount that you're doing because it's a habit, and we're all creatures of habits, and we keep on doing it. It'll be a pillar of strength. It'll be one of the keys to help you have a healthy life after 50. Now, there's a pillar that may surprise you, and this one is the connection pillar. It's being connected to family, friends, a community, and yes, God, having a spirituality. There's a lot of research that shows that this type of community connection really helps to make really powerful predictors of lifespan and well-being. There are regions around the world, and specifically the blue zones, which I've studied a lot. I've been to blue zones already. These regions are known for exceptional health and longevity. Some of the blue zones, they have 100 more times centenarians, people who live over 100 years old, than in our country here in the United States. And they all share common traits. They have natural movement, as I talked about. They're walking up hills. They're walking out in the fields. They're moving constantly, daily, all day long. They eat whole food diets. They have lower stress levels because they're more relaxed. They're in that parasympathetic mode. And they have deep, very deep community and family bonds. First family, then community, and then, of course, you should always put God as a priority. So connection has been proven in research to lower the cortisol, the stress hormone. And what's that going to do? It's going to lower inflammation. It's going to strengthen your body's immune system. It's going to make your immune system resilient and be able to fight against disease. It's going to help to improve your mental and psychological ability to have resilience. But when you have isolation, and they've been proven in research studies, when you have isolation, it increases your risk for death dramatically. Community with family, friends, and God helps to increase vitality. And at the end of life, individuals rarely regret that they work too little. You work hard your whole life, and then you go at the end of life and you go, I really wish I didn't work that hard. They regret they didn't invest more deeply in relationships with the family and their friends and their community and with God. You can't control your chronological age, but you can absolutely influence your biological age. So rest and recovery, so important. Rest and recovery, that is so critical for helping to maintain a strong body, a healthy body. And then, of course, I talked about real food, whole food, just the way God made it, not the packaged food, not the foods that have been adulterated, sugar, bad fats, and all that junk food, the refined carbohydrates. I'm talking about real food, just the way nature provides. They've done studies with the people in the blue zones, the healthiest populations on the planet, and they've taken to the people who live up in the mountains, away from society, and they've taken the packaged foods, and they looked at the foods and they go, what is this? They had no idea what it was because they don't get exposed to those things way up in the mountains. They didn't know what to do with these packaged foods. So eat real food. And then, of course, daily movement. It's going to help you preserve your muscles. So important for maintaining your balance. So you help to have your stronger bones for that muscle movement. And you're going to be able to be more stable. You're not going to have the falls. You're going to keep stronger bones because of movement. And then finally, family and community and faith. Those are really important things. And the people in the blue zones, they all demonstrate that those principles are part and parcel of their daily life. These are really powerful principles. Don't underestimate them. Now, coming up in my social media and on the future podcast here on the Other Side of Medicine, I'm going to be emphasizing one core principle, and that is how to restore your health after the age of 50. So tell your family and friends. Now, if you have somebody that's less than 50, they're welcome to, of course. When people are 45 years old, they're thinking about, well, what am I going to be like? I'm 50. When I get 50, what's my health going to be like? Or even when you're 35, you may be starting to think about, I don't want to be like, my neighbor or my coworkers who are crippled with arthritis and heart disease, and they're taking all kinds of medications. I don't want to be like that. So we're going to focus on how to preserve your health, maintain your health, and if you have chronic disease, how to reverse and restore your health after the age of 50. So please tell your family and friends. I'm going to be posting 3 videos per week. I want you as an individual to absorb what I'm sharing with you. I want you to be able to take the information that I give you, absorb it, and then utilize it. Put it into practice in your life. Now, I'm going to give you 2 topics per week on how to age more efficiently and be able to live a long life after the age of 50. I'm going to be doing 2 videos on different topics for the next 90 days. That's what I'm going to be really focusing on heavily. And now, the 3rd video, I'm going to share with you my personal experience of what I do every single day at 76 years old. You know, I came back, I was swimming today, I was running today. I do sprint triathlons still. I play full court basketball. I ride bicycles, I swim, I work out with weights. And you know, I wake up in the morning having energy from morning until night. I have more energy than China has rice, as I said earlier. And I sleep like a baby. And you know, I had my friend, one of my friends is a medical doctor, and he's an internal medicine physician. And he examined my prostate. And he said, you know, Dr. J, he said, your prostate is like that of a 20-year-old. And that's because I've been living this way for over 50 years. And I'm nobody special. I am not anybody special. I'm saying you could do the same thing, and I'm going to show you how. So definitely become part of our community. And by the way, speaking of communities, I have a community called the Gut 911 Prescription Community that you're welcome to join for free for the next 100 people who join. And in that community, there's people just like you who are supporting each other, encouraging each other, and learning from me how to be able to be healthy and live a long life and live an independently healthy life. So I'll put the link for the Gut 911 Prescription Community in the description so you can take advantage of the Gut 911 Prescription Community. And by all means, follow me each week on these 3 videos that I do per week, and my podcast that I have once per week, where I typically will interview health experts. These are world-renowned health experts on my podcast every single week. And I have probably over 75 podcasts that you can actually go and check them out on the various platforms, like, you know, the podcasts from iHeartRadio and for other, you know, different platforms for podcasts. So definitely check those out. And then again, I'm going to have a theme, and I'm going to have some information that's going to build like a Netflix episode. So from week to week, I'm going to build a theme so that you can be able to restore your health. And I'm going to walk you through it. Come along on this journey with me. I believe you're going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to make it pleasurable for you. I'm going to give you recipes. I'm going to share with you what I eat. And I'm going to give you the tips on how to be able to achieve the same things that I do, because you're no different. You have the ability. God's placed the power inside your body to heal itself. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Because I'll guarantee you, your doctor is not going to help you to achieve optimal health. They're all about writing prescriptions. They're all about just going ahead and treating symptoms, not getting to the root cause. We're going to get to the root cause of your illness. And by the way, most of the problems, it all begins in the gut. The inflammation I talked about earlier, that starts in the gut. And we're going to show you how to heal your gut, better digestion, more energy, less inflammation, better cognition, better memory, so that you don't end up like so many people with dementia and Alzheimer's and neurological diseases and chronic heart problems and strokes and people who are getting cancers and all kinds of other diseases unnecessarily. You know, the people in the blue zones have less than 1% of chronic disease. I want to repeat that and let it sink into your head. The people who live the traditional blue zone lifestyle, because even in the blue zones, the young people are shifting away from their traditional family lifestyle, from their traditional healthy lifestyle. But the ones who still follow it, and it's been proven in research, they have less than 1% of chronic disease. I want that for you. So until next video, which I'm going to dive deeper into the 4 keys that I talked about. I'm going to dive deep into each one, and then you'll be able to pick up and utilize those things that I'm sharing with you, and you'll be able to take those principles and apply them to your life so you can be able to live healthy after age 50. So until next time, my friend, you take care and have a great evening. God bless you.